This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone can podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. All right, it's so funny that, well, all right, this is a New Year's Eve podcast, so hopefully I'll drop this today and then get those cuts out tomorrow. But I was thinking it's so funny how satire works. So, you know, Death to 2021? They did like Death to 2020. That was actually a really good series. But I watched Death to 2021, like just the beginning, like me and my family. Not like Tara, but like my like family, like my parents and stuff. And then me and my sister were laughing, and my mom was going off. She's like, "Oh, look at these people! They're so silly, blah blah." And I was like, "Wait, Mom, you know this isn't real, right?" But like, but we're blurring the lines of like satire now. That like they can't tell the subtleties. And then, like, I told my sister, I was like, hey, you should turn this off. And then she's like, oh, why? I was like, because Mom's confused. She thinks that this is real. And then she's like, no, obviously it's not real. Like, they're making a joke. And then my mom said, like, another thing about the person talking. And she's like, oh, yeah, of course they would do that, blah, blah, like Trump supporter or something like that. And then my sister's like, hey, Mom, you know that these are actors, right? She's like, wait, what? And we're like, all right, just shut it off. Like, but you know what I mean? It's like, this is how media works now.
Yeah.
Like with the fast pace, it's so ridiculous. You can't even tell what's a satire anymore. You know what I mean? And like with the movie Don't Look Up, I thought that was going to be a comedy, but it's like thick on the satire. So I was like, do people understand this genre of comedy? You know what I mean?
I don't think people know a lot about satire, I think, right? I mean, there's even specific websites that are...
Like The Onion.
The Onion... the other one that he was on,
Babylon.
B Babylon, yeah, also another satire. But even within those satires, they can lean certain ways.
Yeah, totally, yeah,
right?
For sure. And that's the crazy part, because it's like if you don't understand that these are satires, like you can get somebody referencing something from The Onion, and it's like, no, that's a satire. But it makes.
But then there's a problem. As long as they're acknowledging their satire sites or satire. Stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there are like other types of websites that are just not saying they're satire, they're just saying they're news.
Exactly.
So that's the problem.
And then it makes me think about like what do you call those tabloid magazines?
Yeah.
Because remember, like the old, I guess you could technically say like the old satire was those kinds of magazines, tabloid magazines, because it's like they'd be so ridiculous. But I guess that was like that time's version before the internet, right? Because we would also see that when we'd be like, oh wow, I can't believe that person's a drug addict now, or I can't believe that like aliens landed. It's like, no, these are like magazines that are meant to sell. They're not actually real. But nobody really like said that back then.
Yeah.
Because they were sold at the grocery store line. So you're like, okay, this must be a real headline. But people are just reading headlines. Wow, actually, I just clicked on this. We've been reading headlines the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, that's
even before the internet.
Even before, true. Even why would you sometimes pick up the paper?
Because the headline.
It's the main front page, right?
Oh my God, we're doing the exact same stuff, just in different forms.
Yeah.
That is so trippy.
Well, now everything's just headline, right?
Yeah. Right. But totally. But like, you're right. Like even back then, it's like you'd see like, you know, this person's a drug addict now without even reading the paper, and you just like repeat that to somebody else because you saw that as the headline on the, or it makes you pick it up. You're like, oh, the drug addict, I want to read more about that, and then you pick up the article.
Yeah.
But what I don't get is why don't you just walk around the mall and just read it and then just put it back? It's like it's an open magazine. Like it's just an article. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I guess we felt bad that people.
Well, you just feel weird
reading it.
Yeah.
I guess maybe. Yeah. But you just want that one or whatever. But yeah, it's sort of like now we kind of have those paywalls, right? We just read it as quickly as we can before hitting the paywall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so weird. And so we're watching Temptation Island now, and I think I'm not sure. Okay, so when we first watched it, like Tara's like, oh, it's a reality TV show. And then as it went further and further, I'm like, no, this has got to be a satire because everything in that show is like stereotypical. Like you have the yogi who's like ultra spiritual to other people, but herself, she's not because she's like in this thing and then like someday you'll break her heart and she'll like go and cry. And I'm like, oh, that's why you're a yogi because like you're like, you're so sensitive, but it's like self-righteous sensitivity because then when something happens to somebody else, she's like, oh, why don't you just go beyond your feelings, bro? And it's like, but you didn't do that yourself.
Right.
But I'm like, is that a satire because you are like the stereotypical person or are these just people? Like I don't actually know anymore because it's so ridiculous.
I think with certain reality TV, it's you're picking people that would best fit for TV to be entertainment.
Okay. So
I don't think it's satire. I think they're picking out people that
would make us laugh.
Yeah.
Like they're so dumb. Like they're so dumb on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, but then that makes me think. So it's either a satire or the host is the devil because like his whole purpose of being is like they'd say something and then he'd try and like egg them on to make them more upset. And it's like, why are you doing this?
That's part of the like that's to.
And the whole point of the show is
that's
to,
his
like,
job, right?
Right. It's his job, but it's like that's like such a devil move, you know? Like, let me make you guys more pissed. Let me make you more pissed.
That's why like funny with the host because that other one I forgot, Moment of Truth, right? So it was I've seen videos of that, and he's doing the same kind of thing. Like, he's pushing them to
like get more upset.
Yeah, it's like oh, you ever like whatever the questions was, and then like leading on with certain other questions with that, and then Moment of Truth was with the lie detector, right? So did you tell the truth or not? So that kind of
thing. Right. And like the lies that get revealed, he'll try and like push to the like he'll make the reaction even more. For example, like in this one that the episode we just ended, so her boyfriend slept with another girl, but she didn't want to watch the video, so she closed her eyes. And then the whole thing was him being like, well, how do you know they slept together? You didn't open your eyes. You probably should watch it. And then, but it's like, she's like, no, my mental health will break if I watch it, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, but now it's just living in your mind. And then all the producers were saying that to her, and then she like stormed off. And then like in the opening of the next episode, like the producers came, they're like, I know this is a difficult time for you. She's like, you guys don't get it. But I'm like, but this is what you guys wanted. Like, this is why we're watching the show. I wonder
how much is like scripted too, right?
That's what I mean. I was like, this isn't real. There's no way this is real. Like, and like the predicaments are so ridiculous. All right, there was one moment where I was like, this is why I kind of felt like either this is a satire or it's just so ridiculous, but it felt super racist to me. So like the main host, right? He's like, oh, to this black dude. All right, so the main host is like this old white dude, all right? And then the one of the contestants is this like kind of goofy black dude.
Yeah.
And then he goes like this. He's like, oh, you're going to pick your next date. But before you do, you have to show me a smile. And then the black dude just sits there and he flashes him a smile. I'm like, that was such like a
weird,
like a slave boy moment, you know? It's like, why did you do it like that? It's like it was like he was showing his dominance of like, you can't pass through unless you show me a smile. I was like, you know what I mean? It's like,
right.
It's these subtle things that we don't even see as like racist or sexist. We just see them as like forms of entertainment, but these are continuing to propagate like social stereotypes, you know, especially if you think that this is what like normalcy is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh yeah, we could just put a bunch of people together and like tempt them into sexuality or like, yeah. What do you mean?
Just trying to check if it's
real or satire.
Yeah, so it's real reality. It's not scripted. I think it's just the producers know, like how to put the contestants in situations to cause drama.
Oh, okay. Because all right,
that's what they're trying to do, right?
So they had this one thing where like they would remove one of the girls, from like so there's the guys who are like, these are the people you can date. So they're like, we're going to remove one, but we're going to bring a new contestant on, like a new girl you can choose from. And then it turned out that girl matched with one of the contestants on Tinder before.
Okay.
So I'm like, how did you guys know that? That's like so perfect. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like ultra manipulation. Like they've referenced it a couple times. Like they've said like entertainment, but a couple of times they've said experiment. And I'm like, this is like a rat in a cage experiment right now. We're literally watching like, what will people do?
That's what you're picking, the extremes, right? Like certain extreme people. This is the only way you can make a show. Like any reality. If it was just a normal person,
they'd be like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, why are we even here, first of all?
All right, right? Yes. And that's my gripe with reality TV, because I'm like, either you're exploiting people to the max or this is fake.
Yeah, it depends. I don't really know. That's why it depends on what the reality TV is about, right? I feel,
like Survivor.
Like Survivor is a bit different.
Okay, it's like a challenge.
Yeah, those are like actual like skills and challenges. Can you actually do these things or not, right?
But I'm talking about like the dating shows. Like
those are.
Island.
I feel like you have to, those are people you have to pick that will, cause drama, right?
Yes.
That's the type of people you have to pick for those types of shows.
And you know what they do? Like, as there's this like thing every week called the bonfire. So what they do is they like meet up, and then whatever happened during that week, they splice together a specific moment and they show it to the partner, the opposite partner. Okay. But they always cut it off at they always show them the very scandalous moment, but they don't show them the full moment.
Of course, yeah. Why it'd be boring.
Right? No, but it's like all right, that's just straight evil. Like, that's total manipulation, So that's why
it's not total manipulation. I think, like, again, these are shows, right? So they have to fit in certain time segments. So they may have shown the normal stuff, but like, you're showing only the specific scenes what's causing drama.
No. Like, right. But I'm saying, like, the challenge of the bonfires, they'll splice together a clip and they'll show it to the partner. So they don't show them the full thing.
Right.
They just show them
of course
thing
not.
to piss them off.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm not saying like.
Okay, I got you. To show viewer, them.
I'm saying like that's their challenge.
To show them. Yeah, true. And that's. So but in a way, that's also telling us they're doing the same thing to us, right?
Ooh, true. Very true. Yes, that's very true.
Right.
Yeah, with the editing of the series.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of it.
But this is so meta, though. Like, who's really looking at it on this level? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
People are just watching.
Think about it. Even you can even say that with Survivor, right? Like, they're just sitting there for like so long, but you can only show when they're actually doing something.
Right. You're not gonna show them like sleeping. Like, it's not real reality TV. Like, real reality TV is like Twitch.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You're just doing nothing. It's just unedited, just like live stream.
Exactly. That's the real reality TV, I would say.
I think that's probably why it's more gravitating towards that. Like, you see a lot more people getting really popular on this because. On like Twitch and stuff, because it's really unfiltered. Like, these shows are kind of ridiculous to me.
And you're trying to fit everything in like an hour segment, right? So of course you're just going to be showing the things that will cause the most drama.
but if it's not a satire and it's just like straight to like mess with people, this just seems, well, one, I was like, wow, people are actually really dumb. And
well, I don't know, again, that's why there's specific people that they pick who would react that way. So they would be
for sure.
Like, there are normal people that are not going to go to these things, like actually join in these things. Right?
You're right.
You have to be in a certain mindset.
Screening process,
exactly,
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it would be boring.
Yeah, I guess it would be boring. But then, why are we entertained by other people's suffering? You know what I mean? Like,
that's just the human innate thing, I guess.
But you know what's weird about it too, though? Like, even though I find it so dumb and we're looking at this meta level, I still can't wait to watch it. Like, I wonder how this ends.
Because that's the point.
Because you start betting on people, you're like, I'm like, these people are going to stay together.
Right.
But you know what's crazy? These two couple, this one couple.
I think that's why. This is the point. It's just it's designed to be entertainment. And if that's...
It does make you want to watch.
Exactly.
Keep watching. Because it's the drama.
Yeah.
But also, I'm pretending like it's a satire, so I'm pretending like it's a TV show. Like, I'm like, this is not humans. Because if it was humans, I'd feel really bad. It's sort of like, I guess we do that with like rats.
Yeah, but they signed up for this, right?
I know, but still, it's like
you signed up for this. Like, if you were really together, why would you even be doing these things?
Yeah, that's true. Well, one thing in the show that I found was really interesting was the couple that was arguing from the very beginning, like they were fighting super heavy. It seems like they're the only ones that are going to stay together. But I knew that because I was like, the only reason why you guys are fighting is because you're so comfortable with one another and you like care so much about the other person. Like they obviously weigh so much on you that you're always fighting, right? But like you would have thought that from the beginning that they were not going to stick together. I'm getting too wrapped up in this show. What's going on? But you know what I mean? Like it's like there are so many levels that make this a weird, like contemplative experience for not only the show, but why am I watching the show? You know, like
yeah.
Maybe that's like hyper meta, but like one, why would they put the show on? And two, why am I so attracted to the show now? You know, with the drama and like, yeah. I don't know. But you like reality TV shows.
I like certain reality TV shows.
Like the Survivor one. I can't believe that's still going on.
Still going on, man, yeah.
Is there, even with COVID, there's like a new Survivor?
I think they did, yeah. I think they did.
Oh, okay. Damn. They're wearing masks?
No, they're all tested and they put on the island, I guess. Right?
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. I don't know if they did. I haven't been watching it, actually. But.
Do you remember that old Survivor one where I remember watching like all the time? But, okay, well, all right, let me finish that thought. Where he like burned himself on the fire. He fell asleep. Remember that?
Yeah.
You know why you knew about that? Because there was no internet back then. So that was the thing we were talking about. Because everyone watched Survivor at that time. We'd tune in. But like now, you know, there's so much media to consume that you don't need to pay attention to only what's on TV. Do you remember that? That like everyone would only know what was on TV. You go to school, everyone's talking about Survivor.
Yeah, that's all we had.
I know, right?
With TV, right? So everyone... I mean, there was some joy in that too. It's like everyone at that specific time is watching their specific show.
That's going to be gone forever now. It's like it's gone. The cultural like zeitgeist of the time. Like when you look at those meme channels, like Kid of the 90s, you knew all that stuff because you're like, oh, we all were subjected to it.
Yeah.
But like, what's the meme thing going to go forward? Because like Fortnite, COVID, like, you know what I mean? Like, what are they going to make a cultural remembrance?
I don't know how to think about that. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like where there's so much option now that you can like live in a niche zone and not.
Well, I mean, I guess the thing is like now the memes are always happening, right? To whatever is the situation at the time. So
you don't think that there'll be like a Kid of 2020 meme page or something like that?
Maybe just of that years or the years that happened.
Right, like right. Like I feel like there's no. Well,
there's always going to be something specific to that year, right? Or
I guess we just don't know. But I just feel like now there's so much more to. BTS, they'll probably
and maybe like Korean thing become a big thing. Sure.
Yeah, I feel like the digital landscape is so big now, and we're only using one platform, one search engine, which is like Google, right? But there's so many other search engines there that allow you to tap into like deeper searches, like DuckDuckGo or something.
Yeah,
like
but
Bing,
again,
Yahoo,
it's one search engine, but it's to each person, it's a different kind of search engine, right? Because of your algorithm.
No, right. But what I'm saying is like, no, totally. But like, there's certain. Like DuckDuckGo doesn't utilize previous ones. It'll just give you the most relevant one. Yeah. So that's like you can type in two things in DuckDuckGo and Google and get two different search engine results. Because you're right, it's based off of my past searching history and what it thinks I would find relevant. But then DuckDuckGo is like the neutral version of that. That's why I brought it up, because like it doesn't use previous algorithms.
Right.
Yeah. But then,
I think it depends on what you're searching to, because I was trying to find something, couldn't really find it, and then I tried down that. It's the same kind of websites, so I was like,
oh, really? Similar ones? Okay.
So it depends on specific stuff.
Oh, topics. Yeah. True. Yeah, I feel like there's such a rabbit hole with the internet, but we don't even. You know what it is? We don't even appreciate it because it's become such a standard in today's society. Like we get so good at habituating to the circumstances at hand, right? As like a species, because we didn't have any of that like ability back then when we were kids, you know? Like, I remember Googling something and not being able to find anything.
Yeah.
Right? You'd be like... But now
you have to be more specific in the search.
You be like super specific, and like you got to do a crazy deep dive, maybe 2 hours of like research just to find something. But then now it's like...
But we were the testers, basically, in that way.
Yeah, true. And we're the ones like who grew up developing more and more of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we helped them develop more and more of it because of our searches.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We powered the AI systems. You know, speaking of like AI and power and stuff, I was listening to that podcast with Elon Musk, the B one.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel so terrible about my situation. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, this guy is so changing the world, and like, you know what I mean? Like, who you place as the figure to look up to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why are we not placing individuals like Elon Musk atop this thing, you know, like as a celebrity?
But they're attacking him for freeloading.
I know, so dumb. Yeah, so dumb. You know, China's doing that, actually. I was listening to this podcast about it, and what they would do is they would affect their algorithms so that all of the stuff would be like doctors, nurses, like lawyers, stuff like that, like high aspirational jobs, instead of like these silly memes that are going around. But I guess you can do that in a country that's like heavily regulated.
Right.
Because they want their kid, they know that this brainwashing is taking into effect, so they're trying to use like the same psychological tactic, but for like positive reinforcement. Yeah, and they have like a shutdown time too, like where the social media apps at night will like turn off, so you can't actually access it, like countrywide, because they don't want people to become addicted like Americans. Crazy, right? It's like, I don't know if that's good, I don't know if that's bad, but
I feel like people who want it, they'll, in general, people will follow those rules, but there's always ways, there's loop-arounds.
Always, like VPNs and stuff.
Yeah, VPNs and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so the Galen Maxwell trial, it just ended. I didn't really read anything except for the fact
I didn't
that
read
she's
anything
guilty.
either.
But what I think is cool about that is she actually got convicted. We weren't sure, like, because of her, you know.
Yeah, 4 of the 5, 4 of the or 5 of the 6 or whatever it was charges she was guilty of.
What was the only one she wasn't guilty of?
I don't remember what the one was, but that one was no.
Yeah, and then I saw this other thing. I don't know if this is real or not, but the one about the guards who there was like something about the guards.
I don't know much. I don't know really anything about this.
But at least that one, like that one got tucked away. Remember during the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, I was bringing that up, like how come it's not? And then you're like, well, it's just going into beginnings, you know. And then to see it finalize in this way, like, seems like a good move. Do you think they'll off her, or
they'll what?
They'll off her.
Oh.
You think she'll just show up in her cell and she'll be dead, just like Jeffrey Epstein, or like?
Oh, I don't know.
Because now that you're in the system, right? Like you can use her as a way to find out more by offering her like a better deal. Like if you give us this information, we'll like reduce your sentence. But then she's also connected to so many public figures. Do you think she's gonna talk? She's gonna write a book?
I have no idea.
You know what I mean? But like we don't know anymore because now that she's in the system, she's like. She's their asset to do with what they will. It would be pretty crazy.
Did they say what the sentencing was, or?
No, I don't know. I just saw that she like.
I'll look into it. I don't know much about it.
Yeah,
I didn't have time to look.
Did you?
It just happened all this week.
Yeah, totally. Did you watch the documentary with the Epstein one? Dude, that's crazy. Like his like ring was so intense. I can't remember what the documentary was called. It was a Jeffrey Epstein documentary.
Yeah.
What was it like?
There's so many
HBO?
though. There's so many of them. Now.
No, but there was like a really famous one that came out with all the girls.
I think it was on HBO.
Yeah, it was like a series. So like he would like get those girls that would come. They'd get like a finder's fee or something, and then if they brought a friend, they would get like a kickback, and then that's how he built his like whole ring. And then she was like the leader of it. It's just so funny that it's like this is a real thing. that happened, you know, but some would say it's like a conspiracy, you know?
Right. Well, this one, there's actual evidence to it, so I can't say it's conspiracy now.
Right, but it's like, how deep does the rabbit hole go? Which is like the Bill Gates thing, right? That's why Bill and Melinda split up, because he's like allegedly involved in that. Yeah.
Yeah, allegedly. We don't know why they split up, but sure.
No, but that's what she said. She's like, he got like caught with it. Like, it turned out that he was with Jeffrey Epstein and like going to the island and like the jet and stuff. And then she, like, when that got outed, she's like, no, I can't be with this. And yeah, just like, did you know about the Seth Rogen? Like, all right, so okay, so it's funny because like we have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, right? Like stuff like that. Like she wants to be positive pioneer, right? And that's why she needed to separate herself. But we don't know what their actual connections still are, like behind the scenes, right? Just like publicly, like they're like, sure, we're gonna split up, right? But I'm sure like financially they must still be together, right?
I don't know.
No, because like if you get divorced, it's like 50-50, right? But like that's gonna be messy. Like I'm sure, like, because you can't just split a business. Like even though we're separating, the business is still a separate entity. Right. So like
you're still gonna cross paths or something.
Right, that's what I mean. So like you're still gonna work together on deals. So did you hear about that James? This is like an old story, but like the James Franco.
Yeah.
Or is his name James Franco?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then him and Seth Rogen, they like split up. So I heard about that, and like that was public too. But then apparently, like they're still working together, like production company wise, and like.
Oh really?
Yeah. Somebody was like talking. I think the Asian girl was bringing it up. The Asian girl from the one who brought up the whole thing in the first place. The girl from Good Girls, the Asian comedian. She's the one who brought up like the sexual allegations. Well, one of many, but.
I don't know who that is actually.
Oh no. Oh, okay. I don't even know her name, but she was like in Good Girls. She got killed. She's like, I didn't watch Good. I'm sure she's a part of like tech shows that you watch. Anyways, whatever. So irregardless of that, so I was watching this thing and like, yeah, they're still like doing work together, even though like publicly they're like, we're not.
They're not gonna work together publicly, but yeah.
But so. Because like
right, I see what you mean. Yeah,
right. Because like relationships are one thing, but a business is like separate. So that's another. Like,
business is a bit different, right? You don't have to directly work with a guy, but you have other teams in the company.
Right, exactly, so. And you can't just dissolve that. Just because
it's
you're not
hard to do
together.
that.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's just sometimes it's just unfair for the people that are in the business.
Right. They're all gonna get fired now. Like yeah, But it's funny because like even with those connections, it's like on the surface we're all seeing one thing, but behind the scenes there's like so many more things we don't see.
Sure. Yeah, it's like the iceberg thing.
Yeah, true. It's like the iceberg thing. Like what you're saying is like 80% of the iceberg is underneath the surface. Yeah. If you know that analogy. Okay, so another thing. Well, I mean, this is not really old news, but it is old news but I just finished it, Succession. So I just finished Succession. You watched it a while ago.
Yeah.
What'd you think of this season?
I thought it was really good.
I thought it was really good too. I saw Malcolm Gladwell said that his favorite TV. You know Malcolm Gladwell? The guy who wrote Outliers, Turning Point. He's like a really famous author on like human behavior.
No, I don't know his name.
Okay, well, he's like he's a famous dude. If you read like tons of books, sure, you'll know who he is, but he's not like popular in the cultural zeitgeist. Well, he is if you read books. But anyways, so he was saying that Succession is his favorite TV show of 2021. He did say it did slow down. I did feel that too. Like it started off a little slow and then it picked up. But I was seeing all this stuff about Succession and how that actor, like, I guess he just did a really good job, but they were all talking about how much they hated him. You know, it's like a person who's playing this like spoiled brat and like terrible, but it's like, but that was his role. If you saw him but they were attacking the actual actor for being like that.
Oh, really?
They were like blending the lines of like, oh, his role of being like, his crappy role as being like a weak businessman and like a drug addict and stuff. But it's like if you watched what's it called? The Gentleman. He was in that and he played a completely different individual.
Right.
So I was like, that's just really good acting. I don't know why they're attacking him. There's like this whole trend now on social media that I've been seeing, like attacking that actor.
I don't really just attacking the actor. That's kind of weird to do that. Or is it attacking the character?
I guess maybe like, but no, it was tied to the actor. Like they were saying like his, like I think like they were blending the line between this is just a character and him.
Like you don't have to like the character. That's the part of the show.
Yeah. Point of the show. But I think that they're like.
But that means that the actor's doing a good job for you not liking.
Exactly. But this has happened before in history too. Like for past movies, you know, like I've seen multiple times people hating on an actor, but it's. I mean, I even feel that like once you play a certain character, I'm just like, I don't really like you anymore. Yeah. You know. Yeah.
That's why for me, I just look at them as that's a job, right? They're like I don't.
I know.
I try not to connect them as who they are, as a
like
person.
It's more like you're just so skilled at being. You're so skilled at your job that you know.
Yeah.
Sort of like Malfoy. Speaking of.
Or Malfoy, or even like in Game of Thrones too. What's his name?
Who's that? You talking about the cousin, the one that keeps?
Yeah, the everyone hated him, the Kid King.
Oh yes, exactly. Yes, that exactly.
I don't remember his name.
You played such a great role that everyone hates you.
Yeah,
but it's like no, but that's a role, guys.
Exactly.
So that's what's happening with Kendall in
that's so dumb
right now. Yeah, you remember it now. Like this happened multiple times.
Yeah, but I didn't connect it to
King Joffrey.
Joffrey, yeah, I didn't connect it to the actor. I thought we all hate the character.
Yes, but it's like it kind of spills over on
because he looks like because it's just him, right?
Because he's playing.
Yeah, but I don't think I connect. I don't think I would hate the guy. I would hate the character.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I don't have anything wrong with hating Kendall as like the character, not the guy who's acting as Kendall.
Yeah, that's I see your point. You also watch like so many movies where you've seen them in different roles.
Yeah.
Whereas like somebody like me, I get their point because there are certain actors
I get it.
Anymore.
No, I get it. It's a very human thing to do because that's just how you view him now, right? But he's not Kendall. He's
totally.
Whatever his real name. I don't know his real name. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
I mean, it's humans do it all the time. We do it all the time. But it's just we gotta like. It's not good to the actor to do that. Like treating him like shit because he's Joffrey.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, or like who's the mom? Not
Cersei.
Cersei. Yeah. Like her too.
Yeah.
Yeah. People like hated her. Yeah. It is weird that we do that as humans. We don't like separate the. You know what's also weird too? Like, I'm just gonna put this out there. Like, sex scenes in movies, like, you kind of like, what's up with this actor now? Like, I kind of feel like, why push it that far? Like, all right. Evidently, there are certain movies where like their sex scenes are like basically like porns, and you're kind of like, what? Why did you like how is that any step further from like a porno?
Right.
You know what I mean? For example,
or softcore.
Softcore. Yeah. Like Halle Berry and Monsters Ball. You know what I mean? Like what? It makes me wonder. Like, is that how you get your Oscar now? You know what I mean? Like, how far will you go?
No, I don't think it's like that.
I don't know. Or I've noticed that.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Or like to get back into the public persona, like some actors will fall off and then they'll like do a crazy movie with like, it's almost like being considered a method actor. You know, when they like drop all that weight, it's almost like the exact same thing. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
But it's weird to be like, because I was listening to Penelope, no, not Penelope Cruz. What's her name? Who's in Eternals? Spanish main woman in Eternals. You saw Eternals, right?
Yeah.
Who's the
main girl?
The main girl.
The Asian?
No, she's Spanish. The mom of them all.
Oh, Salma Hayek.
Salma Hayek, thank you. I was listening to her podcast on Armchair Experts, and she was talking about her and Antonio Banderas, and they're like, okay, the producer wants to put a sex scene in this movie. It hadn't been put in there, but then like she was crying because she's like, oh, my dad's gonna watch this and all that, and it's like, it's like, why did you do that? You know what I mean? Like, what is how far won't you go? You know?
Right.
It just makes you think like what if this is what you're doing on just how I feel. If this is what you're doing on screen, like what wouldn't you do off screen? Like with the Harvey Weinsteins and like
yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily always that. It's just it's part of bringing in the money, right? To the movies.
Totally. Yeah. But it's like, where's the separation in being like if these actors look down on like porn stars, right? They're like, oh, you're just like a porn star. But it's like, but you would do the same thing, just you're calling it a movie and we're calling it a porn. You know what I mean? Like, drawing lines of separation again, it's like, we can't separate those two things, but they're the exact same thing. Like sex scenes in movies, like some are pretty raunchy, and then like a porn.
No, but they're not exactly the same, right? They're the same
Why
in
not?
similar feeling or so, but they're not the same because they're not actually enacting it, right?
But there's also like softcore, like you were saying, where they don't show anything.
Yeah, but I don't think that's...
It's basically
right. I see what you mean. Yeah,
right?
For those
like,
types of movies, sure. Yeah.
No, but even for like...
I'm comparing it to those types.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that to me is weird in those kinds of movies. And it's like, what does that consider? Is that considered like method acting? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's always awkward for all those actors to do that.
Yeah, no,
they always say it all the time.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, just weird to do this.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I was like,
and because it's like so many people are watching you. In the room.
Yeah, so totally. And then if the director's telling you to do something, you're like, oh god, this is so weird.
Yeah.
Or do you see Old Boy?
No, I haven't seen that.
With what's his name? The dude who played Thanos.
Okay.
And Wanda Olsen. Wanda, you know, yeah. So like they were both in that movie, and they had this like intense lovemaking scene in there, and I'm just like, oh, it's weird that you guys are also in Marvel together. You know what I mean? Like that's so weird to me. Yeah, and it's also weird to see like these little rat packs. I mean, I guess we've also seen it growing up as well, because there was like things termed the rat pack, but the people in Marvel tend to work together in other projects as well, like Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans. They've worked in multiple movies together,
right?
Like growing up.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's who you know.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, that too. It's who you're comfortable working with too, right? Sometimes it ends up becoming that, right? Like even if they were like, so those two work together, but what happened to the other actors of that? Remember they were in that like comedy show or I forgot what it was.
The movie where they're trying to steal in Harvard.
Yeah. But what the other people, right? Like the other people went on.
Oh,
it's like some people will connect. Or it's like, oh, we're really.
Oh, true.
And then other people will connect with the other, right? And they go in a different direction too, right?
So what you're saying is you can connect the dots looking back, but not forward. Because like I'm making these connections now, but it's like, oh, but
it's like I can work with so many people, but it's like I can have, even though I'm in a group, but I'm probably more closer to somebody else, like one person, one or two people.
Interesting.
So it's like why is that gravitation happening? Because you have some similar interests, right?
And chemistry and like, yeah.
And then they want that kind of stuff on screen too, right? Like you want someone playing off
comfortability. Yeah. That's actually that's a good point. Fair point that you raised. Yeah, have you ever heard of pareidolia?
No,
it's a psychological term where you see patterns where there are no patterns. So like me being like, oh, it's weird that these rat packs, but it's like the way you explained it, it's not really a rat pack. It's like, I mean, before there were rat packs, like Anchorman has the rat pack.
Sure.
They actually called it the rat pack, you know, those movies, they always hired each other. Yeah. But then like the way I'm saying it, where it's like, oh, I've seen them in different movies, they've worked together, but it's like, you're right. they've probably just chosen similar roles because that's what they're into.
Mm-hmm.
And what about the other people that fell away? Like, we don't know. But I'm looking at
because
like
we only
conspiracy.
We're only looking at the people that are connected, right? Like, or like staying together. We forget about the other things.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. Very fair point. Yeah.
But that's that we're trained, we're evolved to do that though, right? To find some patterns.
Oh, that's why I brought up pareidolia.
Yeah.
Like there's the most.
But sometimes we can find patterns, but there's no actual pattern.
Yeah. So that's exactly what pareidolia is.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the term is. So like if you draw like 2 dots in a line,
mm-hmm.
people will see a face.
Right.
But it's just 2 dots in a line. You know what I mean? Like a smiley face.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're creating pattern where there's no pattern.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how like the brain works.
Yeah.
For hunting, actually, that's why.
Hmm?
It's for hunting.
Oh, for hunting.
Like
yeah.
self-defense.
Of course. Yeah. This is where it all comes from.
Yeah. That's why I find it so fascinating to research books on like how the brain works, because then you figure out like why it is we do certain things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's so weird. Like the more I delve into like psychology or like human behavior books or like read about history,
mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, that's why we did that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also that superficial level where why is this not common knowledge? People don't really know about. Like I had to read so many books to figure this out. And like go through like personal experiences to figure this out, you know, like, because one thing to read it, you also have to feel it too. So it's like when you talk about like Zen books and we're talking about no mind, people are like, what is no mind?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it's really just like a flow state.
Yeah. It comes down to just experience. Like it has to start from experiences, right? Like why you're reading in those books, like why, like somebody told you about it or something, you know what I mean? Like if you don't have those types of connections and you're just
determinism.
It's
like like cause and effect. Like the way you're saying it is like something prodded me.
Yeah. Like we may all have these lines of interest, but or not lines of interest. Like they have to be triggered by something to cause you to go in that direction.
Fair point. Yeah.
Right. So you. Like it's the environment. It's the.
But it's weird to me that this isn't common knowledge because we all have a brain. We all have a way to think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like if you just understood how you're. Okay, great example. Okay, I don't know if we talked about Dope Sick yet. You haven't watched it.
We talked a little bit, I think.
Okay, so this is pretty intense. So Dope Sick is about these people who got addicted to OxyContin, right? And then what I realized, because I read Gabor Mate's book, In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, and basically what he's saying is it's not about why the addiction, it's why the pain. So why are you turning to that thing as a way to ease your addiction, right? So when you watch Dope Sick, all the people that got addicted, they all had like personal traumas, and then by the end of the film or the series, you find out that these people were turning, they had like support groups, and they're turning to these things to numb the pain of their life. Right? Like some of them just hate who they are. Like, for example, one of the first people is like, she's in a Christian household, but she's a lesbian, and then she starts taking opiates to like help ease her pain physically first, and then it becomes a psychological pain, right? And like we don't realize that if you just knew that that's how your brain worked, you'd be like, oh, maybe I should.
That's the was it the mouse study or the rat study, right? Like
yeah, like the rat paradise or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't turn to cocaine. But what I'm saying is like this should be more like commonly understood knowledge, because it would help a lot of people out.
Yeah, I mean we have this. It's a problem in a lot of places, right? Like that's why was it. Like BC, there's a lot of those.
That's where Gabor Mate does all his work. He's in BC because there's like the whole street. Yeah,
they have a lot of, was it heroin or something? Yeah, so it's like, you know, they have pain in life that they're trying to null, right?
But what I'm saying is like, if this was like a commonly understood thing, we would totally reshape the way society works. We'd be like, hey, well, let's look at your environmental factors, not just why you're taking this drug. You know, maybe we can like, but I guess that would like.
But there's different levels of that, right? So some people that care to change or don't care to change it, right?
Totally, yeah, for sure.
So like that's why you have things like, okay, well, we'll try to make clean needles help some way so that there's no like AIDS going around, right? So like things like that.
Yeah, true. So it's like, let's try and mitigate the problem let's try and contain the problem, because sometimes you can't solve the problem, which kind of reminds you of COVID right now. But we'll get into that. But I just think that if people knew more about this and like how the brain worked, or did like more self-interest, it's sort of like the thing I brought up in the beginning, how my mom didn't know it was a satire.
Right.
It's like, you just got to understand what satire is, and then you can understand this film and appreciate it more. I feel like if we looked at life through a humanistic lens, we'd have a totally different society. Because then you'd have a lot less people in pain. Like, why am I doing these things? And like, yeah. Although at the same time, it's like, this is just where my interests lie. So like, I guess I'm looking at it from this point of view. But like, if you look at like a scientist, he's probably like, why doesn't anybody know about cell mutation? Or like a mathematician, why doesn't anybody know? You know what I mean?
True. Yeah. There's different reasons. Yeah. Like, I mean, where I guess growth of a country is also where it's at, right? So like people like in
where do you place
socialist countries, they've reasons they more focus on well-being, but they've gone through some. Oh, like
this a great example is Nepal in Bhutan. It's the happiest place on earth. It's like they have a happiness index. Instead of GDP, they measure happiness, but also who really cares about their country's products. You know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
It's like we look at the two extremes. You know, you have like America, which is like the pinnacle, but they're suffering with mental health crises. And then you go to Bhutan, where they're like happy, but their economy's trash.
Right.
So it's like,
but then it's like, where do you
balance it out?
So it's like,
so if everyone knows about all the stuff I'm talking about, we'd be Bhutan, trash economy, but happy people. But then if you want to be the world's best, you have to be more like America.
Sometimes
which is
it's
like, put
not
your pain aside.
Yeah.
Speaking of world's best, do you think China will take over? I've been listening to some podcasts about this. I brought this up multiple times, but I've been listening to podcasts about this recently, about how they're just the way that they're making all their moves, like I said about the social media thing, and like they're starting to build more products. We're relying on them more. It almost seems like there could just be like a total global economic shift. You know, I'm sticking by that one.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I heard they're doing lockdowns too. It's crazy. Oh, really? Yeah, of course. They're still, it's in the news. They're doing even more stricter stuff than us, right?
Really?
Oh yeah. I forgot which area this was,
but you watch those like alternate.
This was just reading on like CP24.
Oh, okay.
Twitter.
Okay. Oh, so it wasn't. No. It wasn't like that other YouTube channel that you watched.
DW News.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, I haven't gone to that. Sometimes it's like for me it's a phase. It's like
yeah. True.
I'm into some international news right now.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
So right now
I get you.
I haven't been into it yet. But I was reading. I don't know I forgot the place, but it was in China where they only had lockdown, but you can only go for groceries. But then they even stopped that. Like you can't go out and get groceries. So like I think the government is stepping in to basically bring them the groceries.
Wow.
Right now. Yeah, because they couldn't leave to get groceries.
All right, you know what? Let's just jump into COVID now that
it's already
into it. Sure. Okay. So speaking of lockdowns, Quebec announced today that they would be in this like crazy lockdown with like a curfew and stuff. But
for me, it's like I don't understand how does the curfew really make sense? I mean, I don't know if I'm not seeing this, but it's like, aren't most people by 10 o'clock generally home?
Yeah, true. I think maybe they're just trying to stop the parties, or maybe they're exercising their military rights. Like, who knows?
No, but I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make.
No, I agree.
What exactly?
What are you guys?
Was the reasoning to do a curfew?
But it seemed to work. Okay, so what I think is really weird is, in the beginning of COVID.
But they had like 8 o'clock curfew, didn't they?
Yeah, before. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was 10 o'clock.
France would like stream with us, like, oh, how's lockdown doing? Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's weird how Quebec in the beginning, they were not into this at all. Remember, they're just like, whatever, we'll just let this thing run rampant. As we were going through lockdowns, they were like, no, it doesn't matter. It's weird how at the end of this thing, they've switched. Like, now we're kind of like, okay, there's nothing we can really do about it. I don't like even the school thing, right? They're not actually going to close it. They just pushed it back by a day or something.
We'll see. I mean, we never know if that changes. That can happen. But yes, they change it by a day.
Me and your brother were out for a walk, and we heard these parents talking about it. That's where I first heard about it.
Yeah. They don't want that.
No. They were like,
you heard them talking about that.
About like they're like,
switch.
Going in person. The parents were like, apparently they're going to be going in person. I was like, what? And then the news broke. So I think because I was saying to your brother, like, you can't just like the day before be like, hey everyone, we're expecting you back in school. People have to make plans, right? So internally they're probably sending like emails like, it seems like the board is doing this before they make the global public
of course,
right?
Yeah.
So from what I heard on those walks, like all these parents talking about, like it sounds like they're going to go back in like past January 5th.
I know BC, I think for 2 weeks. I think it's for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. And like 500 doctors wrote to Toronto saying like, in a petition saying like, no, open the schools.
It's not good for kids.
No, it's not good. I sent you that video. I don't know if you watched it yet.
I didn't watch it yet.
They were saying how like, lockdowns is more like in America.
It's just kids' learning has declined.
Or even like interactions psychologically, you can't see your friends, stuff like that. Like, what is this doing to us? And if you just look at the numbers, again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or like an anti-vax person. I'll go with I'm anti-boost. That's what I am, because it doesn't make sense to me. But if you look at the numbers, when they released it yesterday, it was like 13,800, 8 deaths.
Yeah.
And the death is like technically anything related. Like if you die with a heart attack, but you have COVID in your system, they're like, okay, that's COVID. They'll just lump it together. So like 8 divided by 13,800 is 0.3 zeros and then a 5.
Yeah.
That's so low.
Yeah. I don't think that's the right way to calculate it, but that's fine.
No, right. We were saying like, look at it 2 weeks ago, whatever.
No, not even that. Like, okay. We don't know how long they've been there too, right?
Oh, those people. Yeah, you're right. The people that died, right? Maybe they were like from months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were in ICU for how much longer, right? So we don't know that stuff.
For sure. Yeah. I'm just going with the numbers that are presented, because my mom was like trying to push me on the boost wagon, and I was like, okay, I will get it if you show me the data. And I was like, oh, like it's just good for you. And then and then I started to show her this data. And then she was like, oh, so they say. And I'm like, come on, it's your data. You're showing me. I'm showing you your data. I'm just calculating for you. You know what I mean? And then like what came out recently was like 51% less deadly than Delta was the Omicron. So it's like.
But Delta was the worst though.
It was?
Yeah.
What do you mean by worst? Like the worst?
The worst of its kind.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's the one that hit India, right?
And killed all those people?
Yeah. That's Delta.
Okay, well, whatever. Sure. So
it's like 51% less than deadly than Delta. But I don't know how much is compared to other variants, right? Is it?
Totally. Okay, yeah, they didn't do that calculation. Yeah. But then I said that to my mom, and she was like, right. Like, it's like we're looking at filters. We're looking for what we want to see. I like this guy I was having a chat with on like the dude I know in, I think, Denmark. He was like, because I was arguing my point as well to him, and then he was saying like, yeah, well, there's also like confirmation bias where we're looking for the things we're seeing, right? We want to see. So maybe that is what's happening in my direction, where I'm like skewing the numbers in my favor, but I'm using the data you're presenting to me, and it doesn't sound logical,
right?
Even Hugh Jackman, I said that to you guys. Like he was like all about it. And then he got COVID. I was like, okay, so what the hell, bro?
No, but you can still get COVID, right?
Right. That's what I mean. So it's like, so why then?
No, you can still get COVID, but not the severity necessarily from.
Okay, but like, right. But then, sure, okay. But then they also said that 51% less deadly than Delta. So, okay, so sure, it'll be less severe. Less severe than what?
But then I don't know. Even you got to look. Like that's just the headline of the study, right? But or whatever that is. But it's like 51% to who, right? Like
that's what I mean.
Which age group?
Right.
But then they can't really do it that way, right?
We have to look at it superficially, because if you drill too deep, then you lose people, because they're like, well, what do you mean? Like, then they think you're a conspiracy theorist if you drill too deep. So I'm just looking at it superficially, like how they would look at it. But like Hugh Jackman's like, I had a cough. I know people.
But I'm saying, right now. Sure, but I don't think he's gonna get anything severe from it because he's got the shots.
Or yeah, true. But like, what about the people I do know that have only had 2 shots and they all have COVID?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
All right, so this is not a boost talk. This is just a lockdown talk. So with all that information, it's crazy to see how other parts are handling it, like Quebec, right? And then the way we're handling it, you know. And then my cousin in the Philippines, he was saying that you can't enter a city unless you're boosted now. You can't enter the city, bro. That is crazy. And then you can't, like, the main city.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's happening around the world. Even China, that's just a strict lockdown. You can't even go and get groceries.
Yeah.
In that one area. I don't know where.
So I wonder now, it's almost like an exercise in control. That's what I feel. Because it's like, with these numbers being so low, like if nobody's doing
I don't think
the math, are they trying to see what they can get away with now?
No, I don't. It's nothing like that. I just feel like they don't. It's like in America, I don't think it's state by state, right? So Republican states are not doing a lot of these lockdowns. But then those are where the most people have died, right?
But what about
where they should have been doing it because they're not taking the vaccines?
Totally, yeah. But what about like with this measure of like the Quebec thing, like the curfew? It's like, but we're seeing the data. It's not as bad as you're presenting it to be.
I don't know. I think they started today. I don't know why they started at 10 o'clock today. It's like the holidays are almost done.
Oh, that's probably what they're trying to stop. They don't.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, but
getting together.
But then Christmas just happened.
No, but they probably just don't want anyone to get together for New Year's. Apparently, like
yeah, but everyone got together for Christmas. What's the difference?
But they're trying to mitigate the numbers. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think it's more like they don't want everyone showing up to the hospital to get tested or whatever.
Oh yeah, I saw that they stopped it now. They PCRs are only for marginalized communities or something, or like communities that are affected, that they feel like are heavily affected by COVID or something like that.
Okay, but how would you know that?
I have no idea. Maybe it's a post the code thing. They posted that. At least it's a Toronto thing. You can't get a PCR test unless you're in one of these specific communities because they've ran out.
Right.
Because everyone's like testing.
Yeah, it's you can't even test everyone. It's just too many people now, right? Who are getting it. So.
And then do you see the meme where it's like the 3 Spider-Men are like pointing at each other like cold, flu, COVID? And it's like, yeah, because that's probably why the PCR tests are going.
Yeah, because people are like, oh, I have something, I should check it. But are you like bad? Are you feeling like, super?
That's why they're stopping, because they're like, we need to save these PCR tests. So like,
yeah.
But then if you take that logic into account, then it's like, so there's probably millions of people that have COVID we don't even know.
That's what they're saying, that we can't test everyone, and the amount of test results we can like do is more than what we can
totally
handle.
And then I was reading the comments for this one post about the 13,808 deaths, and they're saying like, sounds like a slow flu season. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. We never did this for like the flu. Like they're being sarcastic, right?
Yeah.
But like, which is crazy. It's like, were they being sarcastic? Because we were just talking about satire, right? So like, I read it as sarcasm. What if somebody reads it as like not sarcasm? They read it as like fact. Because you can't really tell emotion through like text. Anyways, so like, we've never actually calculated how many people have had the flu in one season, right? So it's like, is this comparable to the flu? Is it not comparable to the flu? We don't know. Yeah,
I don't. They have some records of flu, but they don't.
But nobody tests for the flu. So like, if you're presenting like all these PCR tests, like, oh, look.
No, I think COVID it was. They go. It's also, there is some statistics numbers based on
deaths. I've seen that one.
Not about deaths, just like hospitalizations if it's flu or other kinds of like severity of flus, right? Yeah. Those types of things. So they have those types of numbers. But because what they've been saying so far, even with this, is like still mild, right?
Yeah.
The Omicron is mild.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what they're trying to. Omicron is mild is fine, but like, is there an uptick in also Delta numbers, right? So that's the one that we're more worried about.
Oh, the Delta and then
Yeah,
the Omicron?
because Delta is the more severe one.
I saw something where like Delta's now being pushed out by Omicron. Like everything's pretty much Omicron now.
Most people, yes, but there's also an increase in Delta too, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
At the same time, but not like as the same rate as.
Okay, but still, with all of these numbers, it's like, okay, this seems like nothing.
Yeah, so that's why we'll have to see what exactly happens in 2 weeks from now. Like, do these people require hospitalizations or don't?
Oh, I see. 2 weeks from now.
That's why they're acting out like that now, to prevent any severe numbers coming into hospitals.
So you think that's what's
potential
going on with the Quebec thing?
Yeah. So if hospitalizations don't change in the next 2-3 weeks,
then we're just like, all right.
Then I think we're done.
Okay, but what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't change, but we're not done? Then would you say like some fishy's going on?
Well, I'm just saying the numbers of 2-3 weeks. I don't know exactly, right? But
what I'm saying is like, if we see consistency within these numbers, low death toll, low hospitalization toll, and yet we're still freaking out about it, I think there's some concern.
No, I see. Now. I think that's where I feel like the schools will come back open, like these sort of things, because there's no way to. You can't contain this now.
Totally so, but what I'm saying is like, what if they don't do a 180? And
we'll get to the what if, right? We'll get to the what if when we get to the what if. I don't want to say that until it's there, right?
Totally.
Because I don't know the scenario.
If we do hit that point where like, it's still looking favorable in terms of like death and survivability, and we're still pushing lockdowns, I'd be like, this is kind of weird now. Like, what is the ulterior motive?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, like how many hospital beds are being used up, right? So that kind of stuff. Does it affect other things that the hospital needs to do, right?
No, you're totally. I agree.
Yeah,
with you,
that's what I'm saying. So you have to.
We'll see. No,
that's the what if, right?
But if we hit those points, we're like, what's really going on now?
Yeah, you can have, maybe it could be less severe, but if a lot of people are getting hospitalized, that's also a problem, right?
That's true.
Using hospital beds.
That's true.
You might not die, but you're using hospital beds.
And are they vaxxed, unvaxxed too? It's like, that's also a big.
Yeah, and then if it's. That's the thing. Like, I think a lot of those people are in ICU and in hospital beds at the moment. Most of them are unvaxxed, and that's affecting everybody else.
So, you know what's actually interesting about the vax status now? Like, speaking of marketing, so in this effort to like boost me, my parents are like, oh, you should we got all these COVID cases in. I'm like, are they unvaxxed or vaxxed? And then and then my mom's like, oh, they're unvaxxed, that's why you should get it. And I'm like, do you realize I'm fully vaxxed according to the status given right now? You know what I mean? So it's so now 3 is the perception of fully vaxxed, but it's like, no, legally 2 vax is still fully vaxxed. You know what I mean? It's like, but because we keep throwing out 3, then the global perspective is going to be like, it's going to become the de facto fully vaxxed status, even though like legally it's 2.
Right.
Again, differentiation, but like, we're not that kind of society that wants to really look into things. I guess that's been like the main theme of our podcast the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, let's just look into it a little deeper. Yeah. Anything else about COVID?
No, I saw like a funny. It was like one of those crazy Mario games, like.
Okay.
Like jumping through all the hoops as you, like, the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Circle things, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, what it was saying was like, for people who haven't caught COVID yet. It's like.
Oh, yeah. I've been seeing a lot of those memes. Yeah, like, or the Matrix.
It's been 2 years and haven't caught COVID yet.
You see the one
as that's what we know of.
Right?
They could be asymptomatic. But.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, dude, that's what I was saying. I was like, to your brother, I was like, how do we know we haven't had it? Because we've had the 2 shots.
We'll have to do the antigen test, right?
Yeah, right.
Or not the antigen.
Antibody test.
Yeah, antibody test.
But I think it's like you gotta prick yourself. I was like, no.
Yeah. They need blood to do that.
No. Forget about that. No. Yeah, there's the Neo meme where he's like stopping all the bullets.
Oh yeah.
You see that one too?
Yeah,
it's like in 2 years. So funny. I feel like 2022. Yeah, it will definitely end. I think it's over. There's no way.
People are already,
How
fed
long
up
did the
about
Spanish
all this.
flu last? Spanish flu lasted like.
So what happened, I think I was reading somewhere where, again, it's the same way as the variants. So the Spanish flu started to get lower and lower. I think it was about, like, to get all the Spanish flu, but you can connect it to the variants. I think it was like by 1957 or something.
Okay, but when did it start though? So 1957 minus...
Well, that was
12?
Was it 30, 12 out of 40? I don't remember.
No.
I don't remember.
So like, so it was like 30 years? What?
Yeah. But that's because of the variants. But then they will get less severe and severe as the variants go on. So that's what I'm saying. Like connecting it that way. Because they said that it was there for a longer time, but it's just the variants of it. Not the same Spanish flu that it killed. Right. So not that direct Spanish flu.
So when do you think, when did like...
Well, it's going to live with us for a long time.
But like when did like the lockdowns and stuff stop for a Spanish flu?
Like I don't even know how long... I don't know what exact lockdowns they did or if they could act fast enough or not back in that time. Because people were just getting it and dying, right? It hit the world very quickly.
I think it's interesting that when this whole thing started, we were like on a course for like how long it's going to last. Like if you go back and listen to our podcast, it's like how long it's going to last, how long it's going to last. And now we're at
I think it was, I remember reading where it's like the ones who are going to come out of this are the ones who've either had enough immunity and either from like surviving with the vaccine / the people who've caught it.
Yeah.
So those are the countries that will come out stronger at the end because they're going to be better off, while other countries who had more stricter lockdowns are going to have a slower rate.
I saw this too. It's like CBC or something, and they were saying that COVID going forward might be like malaria or like HIV, where it's not a big thing in Western world, but it's a huge thing in developing nations. So like, we'll probably still see it in like Africa and stuff. Oh, COVID's like bad there or whatever. Yeah. Whereas like for
pockets
us,
of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Sort of like malaria, you know?
Yeah, I think maybe. I don't. It's a bit different though, because it's respiratory, so it's more likely to spread across the world, right? So I don't.
But because we have the vaccines, it's like our immunity is like much
sure.
higher to it.
I understand that. But I feel like with respiratory, it's going to spread through their population so quickly that it's going to become less and less severe, right? Like a variance of it. So it's like with malaria, or that is specific. Like how you catch that is very different.
Yeah, it's like mosquitoes.
Yeah. And how HIV stuff works is different. Like that's.
Yeah. I see your point. Yeah.
It's not the same type of virus, so it won't spread the same way, right? The pockets of HIV is because they don't have the medications or to control it. Or true, malaria is just your treatment of water, right?
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you don't think it'll actually act like that?
No, because this is respiratory. Because we caught, we just got. So if we said we had,
CDC, bro?
So the Omicron had, where did it come from? Well, technically we think we come from South Africa. So
yeah.
It all of a sudden it's here and it's now the dominant strain.
True.
It's not the same.
It is going to be more like the flu than that. Yeah. So you're saying you know more than CDC?
Yeah, I mean, like how did?
Yeah,
true.
I do.
I mean, they're just trying to fearmonger, right? So
yeah, that's true. Right. Fair point.
Like the HIV thing is, it was a big thing here when it first happened, right?
Yeah.
But it was mainly spreading through the gay community.
Yeah.
Right, and not the. Is it heterosexual?
I heard
the reason, the reason,
about, though.
Huh?
Drugs, right?
Sorry?
It's because of drugs?
Well, now, yes, but like the reason it was spreading through them, like the original, like it wasn't spreading through like heterosexual.
Okay.
Because either you're using condoms and stuff like that, right?
Okay, yeah.
While the other communities, they don't need to use condoms. So true. That's how it was. That's why I thought it was a gay disease, but it's not.
Dude, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
You're right. Because they're like, we're not going to get pregnant.
Yeah. Now there's actually drugs here.
That's actually super logical.
Yeah. And then
because the thing I heard about that was that they were using more drugs, so it suppressed their immune system. What they believe HIV is just a suppression of the immune system, like to the point that you wrecked it so bad that it's like attacking itself or something. But actually, what you said makes way more sense. Where it's like, yeah, they're like not worried about getting pregnant. So
yeah,
okay, yeah, keep going.
And now they have drugs, so that is the drugs they're not available in all low-income countries or something, right? Okay. So that where that drug is, you can actually have, I think you take it one a day, but you can actually have unprotected sex, HIV people, and not spread it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think do you see those pills with the COVID? And it's like, like Pfizer put it out, how like if you have COVID at home, just take this pill and it'll stop it by like 89%. You won't need to go to the hospital.
Right. I haven't read into those, but yeah,
it just got approved by the FDA. Yeah. So, and they said it on the news too. They were talking about like, like they were saying how like even the news was saying vaccines are not the solution. The news, like it was like CP24 and CNN, and they're saying like, but the positive thing is like we have this pill coming that like can help you if you do have it.
Right. If you're getting severe reaction from it, yeah, sure.
So even if they're saying it's like this is not the solution.
Well, I wouldn't say the vaccine is not the solution. I don't know how they were wording it specifically, but it's like
no, like going forward. Like,
well, yeah, that's going to become the thing, right? Like, I think
it's like the flu shot. It's like that's not the solution. It's just a mitigator for you getting severe flu.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, all right. So my mom's this is so funny. My mom is not a believer in the flu shot. So I asked her like when she was trying to get me boosted. I was like, "Hey, did you get the flu shot?" And she's like, "No, I don't believe in it because there's too many variants." I'm like, "Oh, funny. That's kind of what's going on right now with this." And she's like, "Yeah." But it's like you just don't want to hear. It's like it's a logical argument. I'm not even like saying anything that's illogical, but it's considered like fringe. But it's a very logical point. It's like, okay, you'll take the boost but not the flu shot. You know what I mean? Like
just show them what WHO says. Right? Just
they won't believe that. It's like I just care what my government says. Like, okay, all right, whatever. Yeah. So we're good with COVID.
Yeah.
For this year.
Yeah, for this year. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. True.
Okay, so you finished Witcher.
Yeah.
Not that good, you said?
Well, compared to the first one, I liked the first one better.
Damn, bro.
But this one is good in the sense
I was 3 episodes in and I was like, do I want to finish it now?
It's still good. It's just like you have to, this is more focused on story building.
Okay.
Versus just who Ciri is. That's what what the season's about is. What's this importance about Ciri?
Okay. So it's like, okay, it's just a Ciri origin story.
Yeah. More about that than necessarily just the Witchers.
But you're saying it's still like, should I continue? I'm on like episode 3.
I think it's good. But it's...
Do they keep the world? Does it make you still feel like you're watching like a whole fleshed out universe?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what I liked about it. I didn't really care about like the monster. I thought the monster battles were actually kind of dumb. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're not that great.
Okay.
Even in I mean, this is for a TV. It's like, do you know what this reminds me of? It's like, it's better than that, but it's like watching like the old Xena or Hercules, like that type of stuff.
Oh, dude, yeah. Cultural zeitgeist. See, that's another one. Like nobody's gonna know about like Xena and Hercules, bro. Like, what is their version of Xena and Hercules? Anyways, but yeah. That threw me back. Like, yeah, Xena and Hercules.
Yeah, and I like those worlds. So it's in a way it's a good thing. I like the world. I like the story building, and I'm more excited for what's coming up next. So
okay, so it's like a
it's
setup.
Yeah, because I played only the third game. I didn't play the first and second. So like, I have understanding of the villain that they're talking about.
Okay.
To come.
Cool. All right, and. This actually came up this week, and I thought we would talk about it too, because we were arguing about it this week, and I was like, it was pretty interesting. The not Boston Dynamics, Engineered Arts, their robot, a video came out with the robot. It's like if you enter its personal space, it basically the researcher was touching the robot's nose, and then the robot was like, I don't like that, and like pushed the hand away. So my question that I also posted on social media was like, when do you consider it conscious? You know, and we came up with the argument before that like it's conscious once you deem it to be conscious. Like because but taking that away, so the real question is it conscious because it's learning, or is it conscious because of the code that you put into it? Because remember you were saying like, they've coded that in, so it'll learn that. But then I was like, but we code things in all the time, and we have like epigenetics. You were saying about like the snakes.
innate stuff. Yeah,
we have innate things inside of us that we're naturally like. Nobody taught you that snakes are scary, but you're going to not want to go near the snake. Like it's like born into it, like fire.
Yeah, or
heights is the one that they showed for babies.
Right.
But how does the baby didn't fall?
Or it's like bashing someone with like a bouquet of flowers, but you're not going to think flowers are scary.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. So you could technically consider those things as like our innate programming as well. So who's to say that this programming that we're doing of like don't touch my nose for the robot isn't just programming as well? Like it's form of epigenetics.
Right. Yeah.
You know? So it's like we've literally created ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're wondering.
I think we've it seems like we've always wanted to do that.
We've always wanted to do it. Yeah. But when is it going to be culturally understood that we've created ourselves? You know what I mean? Like we're at this point where we're coding it and we're like, well, it's not really coding. But if you just look at it as like an analogy or like a simile, right? It's like coding is similar to epigenetics.
Yeah.
Then you start to see like, oh, we've already done it.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Because there's the great debate, right? Like, when are we going to create AI? When are we going to create? We've already done it, guys. Like, we've already created robots that think and feel.
Right.
Because who's like pain, right? That's a hard coded thing. Nobody coded that into us. I mean, like, no, sorry. We've already had that coded into us.
Yeah.
Just like we're coding it into them.
Right.
You know, because I heard that argument. It's like, well, is that a learned behavior or is that something that's coded? Like somebody asked me that. I think it was Jared. Shout out Jared. He's like, I'd like to know if it was learned or coded in. And I'm like, what's the difference between learned and coded? Because they're both eliciting the exact same response. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Of like, you know, don't touch me, or like a baby being like, oh, that's the heights. You know?
Yeah.
The baby didn't fall, but it knows to be afraid of heights. But like, why? Because God programmed it in. Or what we consider God, you know?
Right. Well, that's the codes in the DNA.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, you know, the helix code is technically code. Like the H. Yeah. If you see like what the double helix is, like HT, whatever. And if you change one of those things, you get like a different chromosome baby. That's how like genetic imperfections happen. Yeah. Like the coding's incorrect. So even if you look at our DNA strands, it's like code. So how are we not robots? They asked Elon Musk about the metaverse, and he was like, I don't think I'd want to see like be in front of a computer screen all day.
Yeah, he made a funny point. Yeah, it's true. It's like being told not to always look at a screen, and then we're going to put out a metaverse
screen as
VR.
Close as we can to our face. He's like, but then he also said, how do we know we're not in the metaverse right now? He said it jokingly, but I'm like, it's technically true.
Yeah, which is the Matrix.
Everything is code. Like we just explained how you know the robot. It is. Well,
that's what he means coded. when he says that, it's like the simulation, right? Where, that's what he said.
Like how do you? We are technically in a simulation. Because there are things that came before us and things that will come after us, which is like coded in. Like it's like, when will the robot be like, oh, God created me? But God is the software engineer. How will it know? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how will the robot know when life began?
Right. Only when it's awake. That's like.
What? Say again?
When it's. How will it know? It doesn't know. It
will never know. Because it's like, it'll just consider that thing as God. Just how we consider things. Like, how do you know there's no divine creator? Yeah. Well, do I suddenly believe in God? Or like the universe as God?
Well, if simulation is real, then who created the simulation? That would be a form of God.
True, yeah. Because God is really just the word we use for the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny because I read the Death by Black Hole book, and Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying that too. He's like, one thing that gets thrown around a lot is like, because we don't know what it is, we consider it's like divine ignorance. Like we don't know what this thing is, so we're just going to chalk it up to God. But it's like, you're just admitting defeat. It's like, what do you mean we can't not know? We can't know if we just
work on it. But yeah, sure, he's right in that sense. But his his life pursuit is different than what other people's life pursuits are, right?
What must it be like from his perspective to know so much and be like, wow, look at these humans, they're so silly. You know what I mean? Like Elon Musk, for example, like when I listen to him on those podcasts, I'm like, you're trolling the entire world. Because you see life way differently than we see life. Yeah. You're seeing us as like an organism that can be manipulated and like controlled. You know what I mean? Like if you actually look at it from that perspective, you don't look at him like a super genius. Well, he is super genius, but like if you look at him as like somebody who understands human nature to the point that he can rig the system, you listen to his interviews way differently. The things that he's saying they hit different.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Final thing. Actually, final thing for my last question. In that Death by Black Hole book, it's weird when you think about how gigantic, like space and stuff always trips me out, because like the universe is so big, but to us our lives are so big, but it's like our lives are really tiny in this like infinitesimal, like we're such a tiny blip in human existence, but we take ourselves so seriously. Like if you look at the totality of
True. Yeah.
Like how long Earth has been around, it's like, what do they say, billions of years, right? A billion compared to like our lifespan's like what, 80 years, let's say, or 100. Modern medicine, 120 years. Let's give ourselves 120 years. Like that's nothing compared to like the billions of years that life has been around.
True.
And yet we make such a big deal about our own existence in this moment. It would be scary if, we are the universe realizing itself, because we're like these little blips of the universe able to experience the universe. Yeah. That could actually be what's going on.
Yeah.
We've evolved. The universe has evolved us in a way to reflect on its own magnificence. I think like Rumi said that, like the poet, but it's like, it's true. We are the universe realizing and experiencing itself. Yeah. It's like super true. Yeah. Or to this level, because like one thing he was saying is like, in terms of science, it's only from our 5 senses.
Yeah, true.
But like bees can see like
different senses.
Yeah, so it's like the universe experiencing itself through our 5 senses. Yeah. But then like I'm sure bugs and stuff are experiencing themselves through different senses.
Yeah, they all have different senses. Trees, they're all like, I think he said it on that podcast or some other podcast where it's like trees are communicating too, but just on a slower
exactly.
bandwidth.
Yeah. Trippy. Super trippy.
But they live longer than us, so.
Dude, he's seeing the Matrix. Yeah. Okay, so final question. What was the most exciting thing that you can remember in 2021? Go.
Well, 2021 was the year that I had Tesla.
That happened this year?
Well, that happened from the start of this year.
Dude.
Exact start of this year.
Do you see that Bernie meme?
I don't know. There's so many Bernie memes.
You know the Bernie meme where he's wearing like big gloves and then he's like,
oh, cold? Yeah.
So I saw on one of these meme accounts that it's like, just remember that this happened this year. The Bernie thing. I was like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
So much has happened this year.
True. The riots.
Yeah. That happened in the beginning.
That was the January 6th. Yeah. That was right in the beginning.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Trump was out. Biden was in. Oldest president.
I want to watch
in American history.
I want to watch the rest of 2021. Death of 2021. Just to like, because it opened with the riots.
Oh, did it?
And I was like, oh, I forgot about that. That was this year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't forget about it because I've been with the debates who I watch. It's always coming up.
Oh, okay. So for you, 2021 is the year of the Tesla.
Yeah, it was the year of the Tesla.
I would say.
And it's going to be probably the best year for Tesla too.
What was the recall?
The amount of cars.
Did you see that?
I did.
I sent you the recall.
It's funny because I read headlines where it's like, "Oh, recalled for a safety issue." It's not really a safety issue. It's just.
What is?
It's just. So one of them was. It's not for my car though. At least the year models they said it's not for my car.
Okay.
It's just the camera line on the trunk.
Okay.
that it could de-thread or something.
Okay.
So they just had to fix the line.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Wow, that's like nothing.
But then you see the headlines.
Yeah, and I was like, well,
the headline. I just saw like another headline where it's like, what is like 300,000 cars, Model 3s recalled for safety issue.
Yeah.
What does that imply?
That there's something really. I thought I actually thought it's something about like the AI system, like no,
it wasn't the AI. No, it was just the wire to the camera
so
that they need to just fix it in a way that it doesn't thread or fray away.
That's so funny. That's so.
It's not a safety issue. Like it's not like.
Honestly, like one thing that I realize. Well, I guess we continue to realize like how important marketing is for everything.
Yeah.
Even what you said, like marketing is literally how we frame the world. I read this book, Opening Close Guard, and it's about Jiu-Jitsu's history, right? And then I love this book because what they said is like, yes, the Gracies made it super popular, but they also use marketing to their advantage. Mm-hmm. So why is like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu so famous now? Because of marketing. Why don't they call it Judo? Because it originally came from Judo.
Right.
Right? But like, because they branded it in a specific way and they told these tales about like how like great the style is, we see it as something separate than the Japanese style where it originated from.
Right.
Like on a superficial level. I mean, like anybody who practices it, like I won't go to a BJJ guy and be like, hey, you're practicing Japanese art. Like, no, it's Brazilian, bro. It's called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, yeah. But if you look into the history of it, it's like, it's a Japanese style. And the guy who wrote the book, he went to Japan and like he was interviewing people and they're like, oh yeah, this is just a branch of like, we still have that kind of judo now.
Right.
It's all marketing, you know?
Yeah.
It's all marketing. Okay, so as for me, 2021, the music was the biggest thing. You're not related to these artists, but like J. Cole, Vince Staples, Tyler the Creator, they dropped some amazing albums this year. And I would say that's I was gonna say like the jab was the most memorable thing because they had the one was like a needle.
Yeah.
That was the meme. 2020.
Oh yeah. Right.
Needle.
Right.
For me, I'm gonna try and make this new meme. It's 2020, and then the 0 is a peace sign. Because we're gonna have world peace in 2022.
Okay.
That's what I'm calling.
Okay.
I start that meme. That trend. All right. Anything else? Till next year.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm looking forward to Uncharted for next year.
Next year, there's a lot of stuff next year. Batman.
The Lightyear commercial, dude. I saw that and I was like, "Well, this looks so good." The Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, the Buzz Lightyear.
Did you watch it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, it looks so. It
looks good.
It looks so legit.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. You turned like a toy thing into like an actual like action.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, this is like a cool space thing that I can get behind.
Yeah.
But it's from Toy Story, you know. Not looking forward to any like Marvel Disney movies.
Yeah, I don't know what's coming next other than I guess Doctor Strange is the next one, but I don't know when that is.
And then apparently Avatar 2 comes out December of next year. So
we'll see if that happens.
We'll see. We've
been waiting.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, so 2022, the year of peace. Let's make it happen, world.
Sure.
See you next year.
Yeah.
Take it easy, Vish.
Peace. Bye.
All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.